Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in today. It's so good to see you. And today we're just gonna, I've got lots of folks that they write comments, and I really do appreciate that. I really do appreciate people that leave comments there, really do. And I get quite a few folks that just say, I really just love watching you talk about records. And that's just basically what we're going to do again today. I'm going to share some of my favorite records I think that are really good, records I think everybody should have in their collection, records I think you should learn about if you don't know about, that kind of stuff. So first off, it's kind of a mishmash. Here's some kind of audiophile cheapskate. These are some of the earlier MoFis that you can get, and they don't fetch a lot of money, but they sound phenomenal. This is from 74. These early MoFis, this was kind of the first attempt by a record company that was dedicated to audiophile sounding records. And this is Gino Vanelli, Powerful People from 74. And this is one of those records that when you go through the purge, you go, yeah, this guy's a little kind of cheesy. I'd probably need to get rid of this. It's not good for my image. Rock and Ronnie, I can't have Gino Vanelli in there. Some people see that and they'll be just shaking their head. But you know what? You can't purge it. It's so good. Now, I bought this record, not this particular MoFi, but I bought the record when it came out in 74. I was living in Canada. This Gino Vanelli, they're a Canadian group. And so it got a lot of airplay at the time. And I bought the record, and boy, oh boy, there's some really, really good songs on here. And this particular record now is probably still available. I didn't do any background check to see what's available, but these records usually aren't very expensive. You can get them on eBay. If you just take your time, you can find a really nice one, and it sounds phenomenal. And I'd advise you to check out the songs on here because they are really good. Another thing, a couple of these Al Stewart records that came out. This one was 76 here, and it did come out on a gatefold cover. And they are, they're really good records. There's some really good sounding music on here, really good music on here. But again, the sound on these records is state of the art for the time. For 76, you couldn't get a better sounding record than this here. And just to open it up, I'll show you the insides of how they used to come. This one, they used to come in this protective inner sleeve. Super discs, super tapes, super stars, super quality, right. And then on the inside, you had the record, and they didn't have, this was a MoFi sleeve of the day. This is when a MoFi was out of California. But was interesting, in here I noticed earlier, you get a guarantee card. And if there was anything wrong with the record, you filled out the form on the top. You sent the record to them directly. They said, don't bring it back to the store where you got it. Send it to us, and we'll send you a new record. If there's for any reason you're not happy with this record, we'll replace it. And then they give a couple reminder. We do not dehorn our metal parts for fear of wiping off high frequencies and transients. And that's a lot what you get when you get audiophile stuff. You get more transients. You get more of those highs that you don't get on the regular records. So it may be necessary to play the disc several times with your stylus. It says acting as a polishing tool, right? To dehorn those little pieces of plastic vinyl, right? So this will eliminate the random pops and clicks. And they say to brush your record every time. Probably they didn't have it now, but you can put a carbon fiber brush on the record before you play them. It's always a good idea. Now, what they're saying is because they don't dehorn their records, you might have the odd pop and click on your record, which a lot of times when you get records, you might have the odd pop and click the first couple times you play them. That's always why it's a good idea to wash your records ahead of time, right? With the spin clean and vacuuming and all that stuff, it'll help dehorn the records. So another thing they talk about is misalignment of the cartridge and or improper tracking force. This causes most skipping and also contributes to increased levels of surface noise and distortion. So it's always a good idea, if you haven't done it, get yourself a protractor and make sure your cartridge is aligned to the groove, right? Your cartridge, here's the groove of the record. Your cartridge should be sitting right in the groove, not off to the side, one way or the other, right? And that's what the alignment protractor will do. It will get it to where that's in the groove. So that's important. And also to have the proper tracking force, right? That's also important to do. And they've got a lot of other stuff on here we won't get into, but that's always interesting. And then they had a list of, how they make the records. And they had a list of the current titles that were currently available for MoFi. So that was 1976, what MoFi was packaging at the time in their records. And again, this is and it's a gatefold, and it's a really, really good sounding record. And you can go on YouTube, I'm not YouTube, but you can go on eBay or probably Discogs, and you can find these. They never used to command a great amount of money. You probably could find one for like $25 or so. Today's prices for audiophile stuff, that's pretty cheap. And I think they're probably the same. I don't know what they're going for and all, but they never did command money. And here's Al Stewart's Time Passages, another really good song, another really good record, and this is 78. So in 78, they had this inner protecting the record. And then what they did, kind of like what Analog Productions is doing now, they have all the records that they're currently selling on the inside of the cover. And again, they have the same generic inner sleeve, very nicely done though, and you got the insert. But MoFi wasn't always big on doing inserts, but they did a nice one for Time Passages. But it did not come on a gatefold cover. But again, this is one of those records, really good sounding record, and you can probably get them for not a lot of money. So something to consider. What's coming up next? I was thinking about some Pink Floyd records that people should have in their collection. And this is Pink Floyd's first two records, A Saucer Full of Secrets and Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and it was reissued and they called the record A Nice Pair. And this is the original Japanese pressing of the record. And of course it came on a gatefold, because there's two records, of course. It came on a gatefold record. And on the Japanese press, you got this pretty thick book that came with the record. And it's got a bunch of pictures and lyrics to all the songs on the records, which is nice to have. And what they did was they included the inner sleeve, kind of a dual-sided inner sleeve. One side was Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucer Full of Secrets. And if you're not familiar with either one of those records, Piper at the Gates of Dawn or Saucer Full of Secrets, yeah, really outstanding stuff. And they came on that black Odeon label. Those are OG from the early days in Japan. The Pink Floyd stuff always came on the black Odeon label. Just some fantastic sound on this record. Now, Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucer Full of Secrets. This one, it's hard to describe the music on this. It really is. This Piper at the Gates of Dawn, this is more of a psych album in Pink Floyd style. And I really don't know what you call this stuff. It's kind of a 60s vibe, but I recommend everybody listen to that. I think I even took my kids when they were in high school. I said, come on up, I want you to listen to something. And I made them listen to this. I made them listen to this just so that they could experience it. Because it wasn't something they were going to haphazardly listen to. Great record. Both of these records are great. I'm not saying everybody needs to own it, but you need to at least listen to it once, at least. And there's some of my favorite, two of my favorite records right there. Again, Metal is another one of my favorite Pink Floyd records. And this is again is a Japanese pressing. Let's get it the right way up. On a nice gatefold cover. It's got a nice shiny cover on it. Again, it's the black Odeon label, which is the OG. Now the OG did come with a nice big silver OB on the side, but I think I paid back in the day about $25 for this record. If you want the one with the OB, that's going to be $55, $60, $75 for that one. And so this is the one I have. And you get a nice book in here, and it just has the lyrics again and the some photos and such. It's nice to have. It's nice to have that. Japanese always include a insert with the lyrics because of the language barrier. And this is the original insert that came with the record. Again, Echoes is on here. A lot of really good songs. Pink Floyd, one of my favorite Pink Floyd records. This is Wish You Were Here. This is the 2011 reissue. And I used to have the original Japan press, and I thought this one sounded better. I thought it had more of a master tape sound to it than the original press did from Japan. And Animals, a lot of people think this is one of their best ones. As Wish You Were Here, really, Wish You Were Here. If you put Welcome to the Machine, you put that, you crank that up, it doesn't get any better than that. And here's Animals. Again, this is a 77 original Japan press. It sounds fantastic. I do want to get it was done a few years ago. It was a remix. And they said they fix some of the problems with this record. I don't know what the problems are because I think it sounds fantastic. I think it's a great record, but I think at some point like to get that. I need to put it on my list because I keep forgetting about that remaster. Here's a cool record. Montrose. This is Ronnie Montrose. Who else has he got here? Rick Derringer, a bunch of guys on here. Sammy Hagar's on vocals. I mean, what the rock record? You got Sammy Hagar on vocals and you got Ronnie Montrose on guitar. Fantastic. I think all you folks out there do know this record. If you don't know it, you need to. This is in an original Japan press. It's still on the palm tree, but it's a Japan pressing by Warner Pioneer in Japan. Again, I don't have the OB because that always adds a lot of extra money, but not any extra sound. Funny how that works. Again, another one. This is another Japan original. And this is still on the, I think it's a black, let's see, look at the label. It's on the bronze label. This is a record that I bought when it came out in 75, I believe, 74. I bought the record when it came out. I bought a UK pressing. And it had phenomenal sound on that UK press. And then here a few years back, I was able to find the original Japan pressing. I bought this and I compared them, and this had a lot more dynamics on it, more inner detail. Cymbals were more clear, more distinct. The vocals are more holographic, more realistic. Just a lot better. This Japan original press was better than the original UK pressing. And this is Manfred Mann's Solar Fire. And we've got Colin Patterson on bass. Manfred Mann, of course, plays the organ and the synthesizer. And we've got Mick Rogers on the guitar and the vocals. This Mick Rogers is a standout on this record. There's some of the best guitar and vocals, and the songwriting by Manfred Mann, just the songs on this record. This is one of my favorite records and treasured, and that's why I went out and sought and bought that original Japan pressing of the record. Really good. Recommend you have a listen to that. Now here's one I hope everybody has, because I've talked about this on my channel before. This is Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. Again, one of the best guitarists out there, and he just controls this record from one end to the other, where Solar Fire is a little more spacey, a little more rock and roll type stuff. This is more on the blues side of stuff. And he really lets go. And the drummer is so good on this record. I don't know who the drummer is. You can't read it on here. But this is a Friday Music edition that was done by Ron McMaster. And it's really good sounding. I had the original Canadian press before this one. And then I got this is a 2010, I believe, this came out. And I compared it to the original Canadian press, and this one was better. More fidelity on it. They had the original tape and they remastered it. Ron McMaster did it, and he did a really good job. Bridge of Sighs, one of my favorite records of all time. Fantastic. Here's something that's not talked about a lot. Steppenwolf. This was the best of that came out in '79, and this is the original Japan press. And it's got, Steppenwolf has so many good songs. He put out a lot of records, but you know, Born to Be Wild, Rock Me, Suki Suki, Move Over, Hey Lady Mama, Magic Carpet Ride, Monster for Ladies Only, It's Never Too Late, Snowblind Friend, Screamin' Nighthog. Wow, some really good really good stuff on here. If you're not really familiar too much with Steppenwolf, check out some of that best of, and you know, these records aren't expensive. You can get, you know, the best of Steppenwolf, but the music on here, these songs are so good. If you like that old 60s hard rock, Steppenwolf, that's one to get. How about some Donald Fagen, The Nightfly? This is the reissue that was done by Chris Bellman in 2011. And I had the original Canadian pressing, and then I got a white label promo out of Japan original press. And that Japan press didn't seem to be much better than the Canadian press that I had. Now this, when I had and I also had the CD of this record. And when I had the CD was one of those really good sounding CDs. It really did sound good, but it seemed like when you got the record of it, the highs were just annoying. They had that digital art, too much digital stuff in it. Somehow the transfer didn't work good. I don't know what they did, but it used to irritate me. And then Chris Bellman did it in 2011, and he got rid of all that stuff, or 99% of it anyway. And I really, really like this one from 2011. The reissue by Chris Bellman sounds fantastic. Now, MoFi did a one-step of this record, and I bought that one. And I compared to this now, I thought the one-step sounded better. It had a layer of everything was better, including the too much of that digital in it. It actually made the digital more prominent. Everything was increased, even the digital stuff. So I went back to this because it has less of that harshness on the high end than even the one step did. So this is my go-to right here. David Fagan, The Nightfly. What a fantastic record. And then we've got, I've got so many of my favorites from Steely Dan. This is right up there among the top 2 or 3 of my favorite Steely Dan records. This, of course, is The Royal Scam. Got a lot of really good songs on it. And, of course, the musicianship is first rate. The songwriting is so good. Great guitar work, great keyboards, great vocals, and the songs are all standouts. One of those records from song 1, side 1 to the side 2, the end. Everyone's a hit. Such a good record. Can't recommend it enough. I think everybody should at least at some point listen to this record, and you should probably own it. It's so good. Oh, here's one you don't get to see very much. Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien. Well, what a great title for a record. What a great cover. One of my favorite covers of all time. This is on Relativity Records. I think it's 88, I think, out of... this is a Canadian pressing on Relativity Records. I don't know. I've never had another issue of this record, so I don't know if they were issued differently in different countries or not, but that's what it was in Canada. But wow, if you don't know about Joe Satriani, he's another one of those fantastic guitar players. He can do everything. He can do everything on the guitar, and in a lot of these songs, he does everything that you can do on the guitar. And the songs are so good on here too. One of my favorite records of all time here, Joe Satriani, and he's Surfing with the Alien. What a great record. Here's Nirvana Unplugged in New York. And this is a UK press, and it's got a textured cover on it. And this is such a great record. Come As You Are. And he's got Lake of Fires on here, right? Lots of really good songs on here. And it's done unplugged. So it really does have that audiophile kind of sound to it when you listen to this record. It's such a good record, such good music. Can't recommend it high enough. Everybody's probably got it. If you're not familiar with this record, if you didn't know about it, you need to have a listen to it. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the videos as much as I did making it. I really do like coming. I'm going to try to do it every week. Last weekend, my daughter came to town. She's just been married here. She's been married for a year now. And she came to town. She had some news. Yeah, they've been busy. So I'm going to be a grandpa again. So that's always great. Shout out to my daughter and her husband. And thanks so much for watching. And bye for now.